Welcome to the Grappling Grappling Rewind Podcast.
Welcome to this week on the Grappling Rewind Podcast. On this week's show, we're going to preview the Adcc 2022 fantasy brackets that I painstakingly created ahead of Adcc. By the time you're hearing the show, I am probably landed in Vegas, and we are going to begin our live and in-person Adcc coverage. Follow Grappling Rewind on Instagram and on Facebook that's where we're going to post all of our stuff with interviews, behind-the-scenes stuff. The coverage begins now, and I'm very excited. As always on the show, I'm your host, Maine, my co-host,
Josh.
How you doing, Josh?
Good.
Excited to be here?
Yeah.
In my basement.
In your
looking
basement.
at brackets.
Getting ready.
Getting ready
To watch you melt down slowly before this all happens. Yeah. Totally excited.
It's going to be a big week. My brother's coming in town. I was driving cross country in 3 hours to stay in my house.
That's
on
right.
A stopover.
His car is so fast. He's driving now, and he'll be here from California in Baltimore in 3 hours.
And then we're flying out this morning, or basically we're flying out in less than 12 hours, or less than 24 hours essentially. So it's top. Bring a little closer because I don't know how I have you. I don't know how I have you squared up. So, if you are an audio listener, this week's show on the YouTube, actually we have the giant television that we usually have notes on that is in the camera shot for once. I have all of the brackets that I have made on bracketfights.com. That's the tier list site that all the streamers use for tier lists. They also have a bracketing website. You can search ADCC in that website, and it comes up with all of the templates that I have for every single division with Maine Miller, with a fake Twitter I had to make to get access to it. Yep. So if you want to follow along, if you want to change the brackets, by all means do it. This is just my best guess at the brackets based on the information that we have. If you see an error, DM us about it. You want to put a fantasy bracket, send me your fantasy bracket in a DM if you think you have a better bracket. But I can't wait to do the bracket. We tend to do a bracket preview show on Friday at ADCC, so that show will come out when we have the real brackets. But I guarantee you, I'm bold here, that there will be a couple of matchups here that I've picked correctly because they're what makes sense in the divisions, in the brackets. Josh, do you have a division you want to start with?
Start at 66.
All right, let's start at 66. So, 66.
It's on the TV.
When
are you going to get a fancy touchsure one?
Josh, I'm moving the TV back next week. It's not going to sit here. So, by the way,
get a green screen.
We are going to do a show at ADCC, probably Brackets Day, Day 1, and Final Day. So, share it with your friends if you want to get them at ADCC. They are wild shows, and they are they are the most fun shows that we ever end up doing on location at ADCC. Share it with your friends. I would very much appreciate the show getting shared out to your gym. For this one, I ask every couple or 2 or 3 years. I would really appreciate that.
Listen for the high energy of all of these podcasts coming out.
They're great. So 66 kilograms. We know Kennedy's the 1 seed. We think Gary Tonon's the 2 seed. Probably go back and forth. Tonon is a medalist at 77 the prior year. Kennedy is the silver medalist for this division, but Tanquinho is no longer in this division. He's retired. So he now has that number 1 slot in this division. I think he's going to be going. Let me zoom in for Josh here. So here's the whole bracket I got.
I can see it right now.
All right.
It's fine.
So we have Kennedy Masayal and Sam McNally. Sam McNally is the trials winner for the European trials at 66. I think Kennedy. How do you want to do this? You want to run individual matchups, or want to talk about interesting matchups?
Right now, we both think Kennedy's going to move forward.
So I think Kennedy's going to move forward on that one.
This is going to be really funny when the site stops working and Maine loses his mind.
Yeah, it stopped working. I'm losing my mind.
There we go.
So, on the same side of the bracket, I have Ethan Krellinston and Fabricio Andre.
That's going to be a good one.
That would be a banger matchup. Fabricio, is he a trials winner or invite?
Trials winner.
He's a trials winner.
Second Brazilian winner.
Yep. And Ethan Krellinston is both a 2017 trials winner and a 2018 trials winner? He's won 2 trials, maybe 2019. I forget which ones he won. He was in ADCC 2017, got taken out by AJ, which is actually why I have him on the opposite side of the bracket from AJ, because they've already had a match in ADCC.
Did he win one of the trials this time around?
No.
Or was he an invite?
He was an invite, because he beat Keith
one
of the I forget which trials it was, but one of the trials he beat Keith, and Keith's 3 silvers in a row, and then the final West Coast trials win. Fabricio Andre, I think, is a great matchup here. It's exciting, and Ethan looks to be on another level recently. He has a lot of experience in the rule set, but has never medaled or placed, and that's why I'm putting him on the same side as Kennedy. He's probably pretty highly seeded, but maybe middle of the pack, coming in as an invite. Fabricio Andre, again, greatly improved his game, really improved his wrestling.
All those
this is a
sports club dudes.
Yeah, this is, I want to say, a clash of styles, but like both of these guys are going to come out hot and hard. I actually don't know how I want to pick this, Josh. Do you have a thought here on this?
I think Fabricio is going to take it on activity. Personally.
Yeah.
Like he's looked really good. In the past few like matches he's been in, he's looked really good.
With how Ethan has transformed himself, this is one I kind of want to lean Ethan here. But seeing a pathway for Fabricio doesn't surprise me at all. Next on the same side of the bracket, I have Ash Williams and Gabriel Souza.
You can say
here.
The same thing right now with like Ash Williams is like significantly improved since when we started covering him until right now.
Yeah.
Like he's always been good. It's just like
that trials run, and then honestly, the recent match he had with Krikorian like really stands out in my mind. Where he was just like. He's always been dynamic and dangerous everywhere.
That match was really close, though.
But that's what I'm saying. That match was really, really close. And Keith, that was pretty shortly after his trials win. He's still like at that top level there to contend that closely with a guy that just won the American trials. And kind of people historically tend to shit on the European trials winners a little bit. I don't think in that case this is warranted because Ash showed us that he can contend in a very close margin, beat the West Coast Trials winner in the second biggest division in the sport. That should kind of give you some information about how good some of the guys in Europe are on their best days. And Ash Williams, I think, is a contender here. Gabriel Souza is an X factor here. He's looked really good on Toro Cup, is really where we've seen him recently.
Seen a lot of him there. We've seen him all over the place. He's a motherfucker.
Yeah.
Like
truly.
There's no other way to like describe the dude's just like gritty.
Yeah.
And just like he's on that shit, man. Like he's fucking wild. I love watching him and seeing what he does and like how he counterattacks. His wrestling's getting even better. I have to go with Souza on this one.
Yeah, I think Souza as well. Again, this is another toss-up match. I may want to actually come and change this. But it's again.
We're just talking about it now. Like,
yeah. Well, this is
now
why I made a
and
bunch
then,
of toss-up matches. Like I tried to make bracketing.
Like this is more interesting than what I saw. Like what was that one on
Flow?
Yeah, this makes more sense.
I mean,
to me personally.
My criteria for this was ADCC medalists first, and top seeds are in their own quadrants. So that makes sense because this is how ADCC kind of does it. Then you take you kind of fill your seeding in from there. You put any teammates they have to fight by the second round, so only one of them has to fight in the first round. So that match potentially can't happen. Then you prioritize ADCC rematches. So if guys have already seen each other in ADCC, you try to put them on opposite sides of the bracket. And then you prioritize other rematches. And then that kind of falls in with seeding and with like just exciting, good matchups. You two guys are going to have a matchup. You try to not put them together because ADCC understands that it is a professional spectacle and it's supposed to be exciting. So that is what I've thought about in kind of creating these brackets, and that's why I think I've done an okay job, at least in 66. These are my people, Josh. I spent a lot of time looking at 66. These are my people, Josh. The 145ers. I spent a lot of time looking at these guys to pick it up. Next match, I have Diego Pato versus Cole Abate.
Yo,
I think so. I like Cole.
Pato. So Pato, if I'm not mistaken, beat Andre in the first Brazilian trials.
I believe
in the finals.
I believe so.
And Abate like had an awesome run.
Mm-hmm. Beat Krikorian in the finals on East Coast trials.
Like
I was live there, mat side for it. It was what actually was behind Guy and Cole while they were doing tape study on Keith at the finals, waiting to like go to the finals. It was wild to sit behind them and go, oh, they're like watching some footage on him. That's crazy. This is happening in real time in front of me.
Like, kid,
anybody that the Mendez brothers endorse that hard makes me just wonder how good he's getting. My only reason for picking, I have a couple reasons for picking Pato. One, he's just a monster. But I'm going to pick him over Cole because Cole has recently had a couple of hard matches at purple belt in the IBJJF that he hasn't won. Again, versus other world-level juvenile purple belts and adult purple belts now. Is he still in the juvenile purple belt?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. He's had some, like, very good but hard matches with people on that level, which, again, IBJJF purple belts are functionally black belts in a lot of ways. Their comp games are.
It's really, like...
I'm going to give it to Pato.
The safe bet is definitely Pato.
Yeah.
But, like, I could see Cole going on another, like,
Yeah,
whole nother run.
It wouldn't surprise me in the slightest to all of a sudden see him, like, upset the whole thing. Like, look at what the Mendes brothers did in ADCC. Like, they know how to win in that role, so they know how to create progeny and prodigies to go and do that. And if they endorse Cole that wholeheartedly, they think he's the guy, and they wouldn't put him in there unless they thought he was the guy. So, with that being said, I'm going Pato just because Pato's impressed me to great lengths recently. I picked all the Brazilians.
Well, technically, you were kind of more of Krellinston, but I had picked Fabricio. But
other side of the bracket, Gary Tonin,
Brazilian bracket,
number 1 or number 2 seed. I think he goes against Jeremy Skinner, Australian trials winner. Skinner's, again, looked really, really good.
Gary.
But probably going to go with Gary on that one just because Gary's familiarity with ADCC, the rule set, and a history of just performing well in the rule set. Next one, I have Ruan Alvarenga versus Josh Cisneros. So this side of the bracket, I had a little more trouble picking.
Looked really good
against Krikorian. He beat Krikorian at Fight to Win. Very, very close match, but still, I think you probably give that to, most people gave that to Cisneros. And Ruan Alvarenga has been looking really good in his wrestling. I think this is one like which Cisneros shows up. The dude that won Pans and the dude that showed up at West Coast Trials, I think beats Ruan here. But if Ruan shows like up as the guy that won Trials, the major thing that Ruan won. I forget offhand what it is.
So do I. Can't remember right now.
I'm going to go with Josh here.
I am too.
Depending on how taped up his ankles are.
I don't even think that matters, but I think for him, like, he's just been on such a tear.
Yeah.
Like, so good.
Next matchup I got is Diogo Hayes. I'm going to get it right soon, versus Gio Martinez.
As much as I want to pick Diogo just because he's just younger and he's tiny as hell, and I feel like he gets underneath of Gio much better.
We're good. I'll just move the camera.
I think just Gio and his experience will get him past at least this round. Where, like...
Yeah, I don't know. Gio recently, his match with Mikey, he looked very, very defensively sound, as he always does. Gio's defense is one of the best in the sport.
It's very, very,
he's
very good.
Phenomenally defensive. I'm just wondering, Diogo's going to be a smaller guy in this division. Martinez is probably going to have size and weight on him. Like, Baby Shark's not a big 45er.
He's a light feather.
He's a light feather, and he's comfortably light feather.
His wrestling is really improved though, so that's the thing. Like,
but
is he going to play
matter
like
versus
is he going
Gio?
Is he going to play off of it though, and go try to snag a quick takedown once points happen too?
Right. It's kind of a tactics thing, but Gio is so.
I think it's a tactical thing, but I think because of just like the amount of experience he has in ADCC, Gio takes the match.
Yeah, again, this is a matchup you could go.
It could go either way.
I'm going to keep saying this in the show, by the way, so if it gets old, I apologize. I think Gio's just the level of experience he has. He's been in ADCC since, 2015? The Jeff Glover match, I think, was 15 or 13.
He, if I'm not mistaken, he was in the England one, which was 2011.
Jesus. So huge.
I want to say it was.
Depth of experience in ADCC that may carry him over the newcomer Diogo Reis. And the last match in the division for the first round, AJ Agazarm versus Keith Krikorian.
Keith.
Keith. Really?
Keith.
Okay.
AJ has looked so like
but he knows and he games the rules.
He games
so
it, but
well.
it's just been like so unimpressive, and he just lets dumb things happen to him.
The fight to win match and how Barch like worked him at trials are the two things that kind of point me to go, maybe Keith gets by him again. But in the same way that we have Gio, like he has that veteran experience. He's a silver medalist in ADCC. Like he is a medalist at this event. He knows how to play it. He knows how to game the rules. He's been at that level for so long.
I just think he's honestly like lost a step.
A little bit. He's also at Athos now, which is a little bit of a kind
AJ?
of yeah.
Oh yeah.
So that's a little bit of a wrench. Is like how much has he reinvented his game at all or changed his game?
No.
With that being said, so that's first round matchups. Do you want to run through the rest of them?
All American.
Yeah, I picked all American. So we got Brazil versus America. Oh, that's a neato bracket. Do you want to go through the rest of them on this? We're going to go to the next one.
Let's chop them out really quick,
all right,
man.
I think Kennedy beats Fabricio, even though as much as I love Fabricio. We haven't seen a ton from Kennedy. I think this is a tougher match than people anticipated.
I'm going Fabricio on this.
Really?
One. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we picked alternate. I don't know how to make the bracket do that now.
That's okay. You can go with your Kennedy. I'm just saying, like, you can pick Kennedy.
So
you kind of like
if people,
you're the main showrunner. I'm okay with you putting who you want to put in there.
And people also know, like, for me, when I do picks, I pick almost favorites. I pick the favorite 90% of the time solidly, usually. All right.
Where's Emil and his math?
There you
okay. Go.
So next one we got Gabriel Souza and Pato. They've done this a couple of times before.
I think Souza's going to take this one. I think he's going to beat Pato.
Let me see what this is.
You broke it at everything.
No, I didn't. I'm good. We're still going. I have the wrong keyboard open. I think that they've gone so. These are all my notes for it.
Holy mackerel!
Yeah, Marin and I went through every single
matchup
for 2017. No, I don't have to face each other. Huh? That's crazy. So where are you going on this one, Josh?
I'm going Souza on that one.
Okay. I think Souza's reasonable on that. I think
like this
Pato. There we go.
Like it's both. I hate. Again, like I am on record as saying I hate picking brackets, but like
so we have you on the bracket picking show, Josh.
Exactly. A lot of these are toss-ups. Anything could happen from one match to the other. It's just like this huge. I don't know.
So let's close up the side of the bracket. I think Kennedy for me goes all the way. You think Fabricio goes all the way in this side?
I think Souza goes all the way on that side, honestly.
Really?
Yeah.
Souza's been a little hot and cold. Again, some of his matches versus the Corbray brothers kind of make me wonder. That's my big thing is the Corbray brothers are good. Neither of them made it to semifinals in the trials at the U.S. trials versus like a guy like Kennedy or Fabricio or Pato. Like that's kind of my question for like Souza on his best day and like an AJP. Absolutely. But like if he has those similar style matches in Toro.
I don't think so. I think he's like gearing up, ready to rock and roll.
So other side of the bracket. You're picking Souza going all the way on this side. Mm-hmm. That's ballsy. Tonin and Cisneros. What do you think?
As much as I want Gary to like go further, I think Cisneros beats him. I think like
really. How do you think? I think
Cisneros is honestly just like takes his back.
Okay.
And like it finishes with him trying to choke him.
This is actually the weird one. I think that Gary's style kind of works against Cisneros' style here. So Gary is so like roll through. Like Gary's
so aloof. Yeah, but look at like what he did against Bertolo, and that like bit him in the ass.
It did. I just think that Cisneros is a guy that will let him do. We saw in the Keith match, it will let him roll through and work. And like Gary's so hard to like lock down unless you're bigger and stronger than he is. I think he has size parity with Cisneros. I think he's going to be a little bigger in this division than guys kind of expect him to be, even though he's looking pretty small now, getting down to it. I want to go Tonin here.
Does he fight at 55 or 45?
1 FC 55.
Oh, okay.
So he's probably a 45er. In an MMA, so he's going to be 45 here. So this is a toss-up. I want to go Tonin because I just think that stylistic with Cisneros, it's a rough wrestle match.
I mean, again, it's like a safe bet.
Gio and Keith. Why Keith? Why Keith here? So this is a match we know is going to happen if they both make it past the first round.
Keith,
because they're teammates in 10th Planet. Keith is younger. He, I think, has better wrestling than Gio. He does not. He is.
I think his back takes are smoother. I think his leg locks are better. Like, I think he's like, if you're going on versions, like he's 2.0 and Gio's like the original. You know what I mean?
I don't know how much it'll get in his head to have to fight Gio is my only question. I don't think Gio will be bothered by it. I think they already know, but I'm just wondering, like, because guys always talk about in the moment at ADC how it actually is different. Like, oh, I anticipated it, but like getting on there and having to fight my teammate in that way is different. And because Gio and his brother Boogie was Keith's coach, gave him his black belt. He's been in the room with Gio a lot, from my understanding. I'm just curious about that. I think giving the nod to Keith again is 2.0 because I think his wrestling is faster and sharper. His back takes are faster.
He's just been competing more as well. Like, you don't see
Gio very often. But when you see him,
it's not like he looks like he loses a step, but like when you get past a point of Gio's game, like that's kind of it.
Yeah, I agree. I think again, it would not surprise me to see Keith.
Mikey couldn't get him, but
yeah,
Mikey definitely won handily as well.
Right.
So
it's interesting. So Tonin or Cisneros versus Keith. If we see Cisneros and Keith again, this was weird to bracket. They maybe be shooting on our side of the bracket because they've already met each other. But
if it's
I decided
Keith
to put them on
and
this
Cisneros,
side.
I would go with Keith. If it's Keith and Gary,
because Keith already beat Cisneros in ADCC at the finals of trials by submission. So I think it's reasonable to expect him to do it again unless Cisneros makes significant changes.
If we're going with Gary in that spot, I'm going to have to say Gary.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of think we end up with Gary on that just because Gary's a guy that he's very hard to beat, and the only guys that can do it usually are the bigger guys.
Well, here's the other thing. It's like
everyone in the side of the bracket has
what
like
he needs
recent
to do
losses.
Is not screw around as much. Like,
yeah,
he needs to take it like super serious.
Yeah,
and just like go in there and be fucking gritty.
Yeah,
like if you get
like
caught one of those,
game Palhares, that match in Polaris. Yeah.
Like if you get that, Gary, if you get the one that's like, oh, I'll scramble out and do some shit if I get put into a bad position, but I'll try not to put myself there, you'll be good. Mm-hmm. If he like plays really like fast and loose, I don't think it will be beneficial to him. If we get that, Gary wins. Hands down. So if we don't, Souza capitalizes all over those tiny little like things that he does and just takes it on points. I don't think he catches him, but he'll take it on points.
So in a finals match, Gary's been to a finals before. Do we go either Kennedy, Souza?
I'm going Gary.
Really?
If it's Gary,
here's the thing.
Honestly, I'm going Gary. No, we'll go
Gary.
You're
going to go Gary?
I'll go Gary. Gary takes it.
So what you audio listeners, I'm trying to click Gary down to the finals.
There you go. Click him over.
There we go. And
I'll go Gary on that one.
Watching Tonin win wouldn't surprise me. I think a final versus Kennedy and Gary would be exciting. I
still think he takes it just because he just does. That's the fight. If it's like Kennedy versus Gary, I think Gary can be more fast and loose.
Yeah.
As opposed to Gabriel, like I don't think you can. You can't play that way against Gabriel.
No,
like,
I think you can't do that versus Gabriel or versus Pato or versus Fabricio. Like all three of those guys that are kind of top seeded on the other side, they're kind of the Brazilian contingent. Like that style matchup is hard to deal with for them. Like Tonin's a difficult guy to deal with in the rule set. Watching him go all the way wouldn't surprise me. I kind of think we're going to get Kennedy and Gary 1 and 2 here, just because.
If I pick this, by the way, you can Venmo me. And
$5.
You can Venmo me $5.
Look, you get it, I'll give you $5. Like no bullshit. If you pick this, I'll give you $5. So moving on, that's 66. Moving on to 77. I got first round matchup.
JT Torres. We don't even have to talk about that one.
Versus Kenta Iwamoto. Kenta is the Australian trials winner from Japan, or the Asian trials winner, Asian Oceania trials. The first winner, the only winner this year, because they only had one of them. Versus JT Torres. I think Torres. Kenta's been a B team, so that's my only kind of X factor. But I don't think that like
it's going to do it again.
It is going to do it again. I think Torres is an absolute human monster, and he's two-time champion. And there's a reason that you're two-time champion. It's because there be monsters here. By the way, for this, pretty much anyone I think in this bracket you put up against JT in the first round, I'm going to pick JT. Like that's like how I picked this out when I did it. Point.
Like, we don't even have to go to the other side of the
everyone's
bracket right
beating
now.
JT.
It's like JT.
Next round I have, and this one I kind of struggled with. I put Roberto Jimenez, the first South American trials winner, versus Nicky Ryan. If this is how this is bracketed, I'm gonna go with Nicky Ryan, and I'm gonna go with heel hook.
Yes. Yes, and yes.
This is an easy one to pick. But again, if this is also one where we could see Jimenez, like,
if he goes smashy and made some changes, but I think
if Nicky Ryan decides to wrestle, I think this is an interesting one where potentially you could see Roberto pathway to the back.
But I think Nicky Ryan's just going to rip his fucking leg off.
I do think Nicky Ryan is going to rip his fucking leg off if this match happens.
If that's how it goes.
Yep. Next matchup, we have Davi Ramos and William Tackett.
Dude, you're rude as fuck to William Tackett, man.
A little bit. I love Tackett. I mean,
I love Tackett.
You can go. You can listen to interview. So I interviewed Tackett at Kasai a couple years ago in Dallas, and he talked about like training for trials like 2-3 years before. I think it was 2019 when I interviewed him, talking about like his whole team prepping for trials, and then he goes on and he was like 18 or 17 at the point when I interviewed him, wins trials a couple years later.
Dog, but it's fucking Davi Ramos, man.
Yeah. You think Davi takes it?
Dude, Davi is a former gold medalist, man.
No. He looks good. He's getting a little older, though.
That's the other thing. Like, it's a toss-up, but, man, that's a rough fucking match to deal with.
This is your young lion versus your old lion. It's like, does the old lion still got it? Your gold medalist?
I don't know.
Versus, like...
Davi's just, like, so much of a safer
By the way,
pick,
this
too.
is the bracket that one of the brackets I struggled the most with because there's so many, like... I put Davi on the same side as JT, which... probably
you got two gold medalists on the same side of the bracket,
and that's what I'm saying. Like maybe they're not going to be on the same side,
things, but it doesn't matter. Like that would be a sick matchup. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Like, but Tackett would.
You think so you're going Davi?
Yeah.
Okay. I got Lachlan versus Majid. So Lachlan historically in his division doesn't do great. Absolute. That dude took third. He's a monster.
But that's like Majid is like such a good matchup for him.
Yeah.
Like
I think Lachlan takes it here.
Majid looked great in all of his trials,
but he didn't. But he wasn't able to win because he ran into I forget who ran into the first one. And he ran to Micah. Ran Micah the first one. And ran to someone else the second one. It's he had a rough run at trials. Lachlan, all his instructional work, man. That dude looks next level and has been an ADCC for
a couple of times. Yeah,
this is his third or fourth time. I think he's very good. So we're going Lachlan on that one. Other side of the bracket, Dante, fourth place in 2019. First round is Oliver Taza. You in the pre-show were like, not sure the match is going to happen.
Yeah, I don't know if that's going to happen that way. Like
This bracket was. I'm in looking at this again. I'm kind of like,
think they're going to place it like that with that specific matchup.
Who do you think he gets then?
I don't know, but I think it's just better to if we leave it that way, it's like Dante.
Yeah. Do you have another guy you think may end up there?
It might be switched where AJ might go against him.
AJ's
PJ, sorry, not AJ.
PJ. PJ has to go against Varela, so this is a weird one.
Yeah, there's so much stuff that's all over the place. It's so difficult to like match it up. Yo, you gave PJ a shitty match.
I did, dude. By the way, so this is the bracket that I switched these around. Like I moved JT. Sorry, JT's the one guy I didn't move. Everyone else I moved in this bracket at least once and went, I'm going to sit here all day and do this. I gave PJ Michael Galvao.
That's mean.
It is mean.
Mika looks so good.
He's so good. Like
Mika, like that's a rude fucking
Mika's also a guy I think you put against anyone on that side of the bracket.
It's a rude fucking matchup.
It is a rude matchup. I like PJ too. And PJ's like people that we train with like PJ and like he's from Delaware. He's like close to us.
It's rude shit Mika. Right
there. Tommy Langacker versus Andy Varela.
Dude, Langacker looked good against what's his name in his most recent Nogi match versus I was gonna say
Canuto. I was gonna say Dorino, and I was like, that was like 4 years ago.
Canuto.
Yeah.
He looked really good.
He's beat him twice. He's beat Canuto twice now at this point.
And that was just most recently. It was a Nogi match.
Varela is a dude.
He just does wild shit.
Varela looks three things. Him at West Coast Trials, he dwarfed every other person in 77. That dude is a horse at 77 in a way that I don't really think people realize. Like, he was gigantic. And I think versus a guy like Tommy, that doesn't fucking matter. But it is interesting if he can get past Langacker. Do you think Langacker takes him out?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Langacker's guard work is just like too good.
His guard work
and he's going to end up somewhere where Varela does not want to be.
Varela's wrestling, I think, is significantly better than Langacker's,
sure.
And that's my question: is
but
Varela can turn it into a wrestling match?
I think Langacker will tie up a little bit and then go nah and sit down.
Yeah, I think he'll take the negative here tactically versus Varela.
Not in the first couple minutes, though.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of tactically. I think Varela's passing looks amazing, but I think Langacker can track him on the cartwheel passes and like the big movements that Varela does and slow him down.
I didn't really look at the last match you had.
We also got Cade Rotolo versus Renato Canuto. I'm gonna go Cade on this one.
He's just looked so much better. Again, Canuto just lost to Langacker.
Yeah. Cade looks amazing. Like
he looks great.
He looked amazing versus Shinya at 1FC. Like, again, Shinya's a little older, but still
a crafty, like 40 now.
a crafty grappler that's been around for a long time. Cade has looked amazing since the Krellinston match, second Krellinston match, like a couple of years ago.
He's good.
He looked amazing at trials, like in the rule set.
Let's just stay on this side of the bracket.
Stay on the side of the bracket.
Here.
Dante and Mika.
Even though he's lost to him before, Mika.
You think he makes the changes he needs to fix it?
Yes.
I don't know about that because I think that Dante like took him down a little easier than people remember.
I don't think that's going to happen this time.
Why? So what tactics? What do you think will change?
His wrestling has changed, and here's the other thing: because they've all been focusing a lot on wrestling. Because you can see that in Diego Hayes, and you can see that in Fabricio.
I mean,
Andrade.
fucking Pat Downey is at Fight Sports.
But Fight Sports in Florida, not Fight Sports Club
in Manaus.
In Manaus.
Yeah, good point. Where Mika is.
But they also may have come up to Florida to finish up the training before they go over to Vegas. Yeah. I'm not sure. I just think he changes it, or he plays from guard instead of just like fighting with that takedown stuff. It just play from the bottom. His sweeps are fantastic. How many times did he triangle Krikorian? 2 or 3.
2.5.
Yeah,
he tried him once. He armbarred him 1.5. Yeah, I think that this is a fun matchup. This is again
after his performance at Worlds as well. Come on, son.
I think that this is whenever I pick a weird one like this, it's because I think youth is an underrated talent.
Fuck yeah,
you can be young 19, and you can
18,
just 18,
like that.
18. He's 18. You can just do things with youth 6 months later, I added these new things to my game. You're like, you're a D1, you're a D2 wrestler now in 6 months. You're like, how? It's like, I'm 17. You're like, oh, you're under world-class tutelage, right?
I'm not going to school.
So you think this will look similar to the Cade and Ethan match, where it's like a very close first match, second match, Cade ran away with it.
Yep.
Okay. So going Mika versus Dante, that's bold. Cade and Tommy, I'm going to go Cade here pretty comfortably.
Again, the same thing with age.
Age, Atos, been looking amazing recently.
And to finish
Mika
out this
and Cade.
He beat his brother. He's going to beat Cade. He's going to beat
in the gi though. In the gi,
he's going to beat him.
You think
he's going to beat him?
That's bold, Josh.
It's not bold. He's going to beat him.
Like brother.
I think even though he's really good at gi, I think his no gi is still better than his gi. But also, he doesn't change a lot from both. The only thing that he's going to have is
Mika's mount game has been
sick.
He is bringing that back in a way that
just his guard game, son.
Yeah.
The old school stuff that he's doing that people don't really do anymore. Like when people pick him up from closed guard and he drops down and does that little the knee pinch around the legs instead of going around the waist with the full guard, and then sweeps off of that or takes the back off of it.
Yeah.
Dude kept pace with Ty.
Yep.
And then
at Worlds in the finals.
Him.
Yeah. That's such an impressive performance match at Worlds, and youngest world champion ever at 18. Dude,
I think he's got it.
Yeah.
They all got good smiles,
I think so. They do have good smiles. Other side of the bracket, JT Nicky Ryan. You think JT takes him?
JT.
Okay.
He just works him.
I kind of think that's
he
the
just
thing.
Works him. I'm not even thinking about leg locks. He just gets worked.
You think he just takes him down? And then
he just does
I think JT
whatever.
does that inside trip that he's done since forever.
He's going to blast double him.
Really?
He's going to blast double him.
You think because Nicky Ryan
side control
takes that lower, bent over position that JT's going to get inside? No,
because I think Nicky Ryan's wrestling position isn't that good.
Okay.
His stance is not that good.
He's very over his legs in a way that is
It's not conducive
set
to
up
good wrestling.
for defending a blast from a guy like JT Torres.
Dude, JT is just going to tie up with him, and he's going to change levels and
Davi
blast him.
Ramos
Davi.
versus Lachlan?
Davi.
Why?
Davi.
So why
Like,
why
he
Davi?
ain't scared of no leg game either. Dude, you see people, like, going after, like, his knee bar? Nah, son.
You really think Davi? You think he still has it?
Davi's going to... If it's this match, Davi's just going to pressure fuck Lachlan.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
But that doesn't matter because JT's going to beat Davi. JT's going to beat whoever comes out of that match. It doesn't matter.
So we think pretty much JT takes this. This is a matchup. I can't.
You know you're going to have to delete it and then like do
Probably.
it again. You know what I mean?
We think we're going to get JT versus Michael Galvao. Mika Galvao.
I do.
Okay. I could see it. That's why I bracket him on opposite sides of the bracket. And I just can't get it to work.
I love it.
So that's why I clicked through this, Josh. JT versus Mika.
Mika Galvao.
No shit.
Mika Galvao. Dark horse.
How?
First year.
How?
You
think he subs him?
He's going to take his back.
think
He's going to take his back. He's not going to finish him.
Okay.
But he's going to take his back, and that's where he's going to end up during points.
Dude, I fucking love ADCC.
During points.
Giggling like you think it's
so
gonna happen.
he's going to do this. World Championship. Youngest World Championship. World Champion ADCC, which I believe then that makes him the youngest ADCC World Champion. Even younger than
Hoffa. How old was Hoffa?
19.
He was 19.
19, I think.
That's bold. He's going to upset the two-time champion by taking his back. Give $5, Josh.
Taking his
I'll
back.
give you $5 a bracket. You pick it. All right. On to negative 88. Under 88 kilogram division. First matchup I got is... I have
Deniz.
Mateus Deniz versus Bob Farias. Bob, the trials winner for Australia.
Deniz,
it's a rough matchup. Deniz has looked good. We haven't seen him a ton except for the Gordon match, but he's Mateus Deniz. Next match, Isaac Michel versus Azaki Bahens. Yeah, I kind of want to go Bahens.
And here's the thing with that. Michel, very competent, like Isaac Michel, very competent leg locker, like good game. Dude, Bahens? You kidding me? You think if he was in you think he was in a no time limit match with Bahens, like it was gonna look like his match with
Chambers?
With Chambers? Absolutely not.
Yeah,
dude, that's a rough match.
I kind of want to go Bahens. I felt bad about this because I like Isaac, and I was like, there's some in this bracketing. I felt bad doing this bracketing because there are some guys I gave rough matchups, and I was like, no, I like you, and like you got to fight a monster. You're a monster, and you have to fight another monster, and I like you.
Dude.
So next matchup, I have Wagner versus Jacob Rodriguez. I think Wagner.
You don't
takes
even
that.
have to ask why.
I just think that what we saw from Jacob versus Couch is too big a gulf to be able to fix.
Even against
that guys
like,
aren't going to figure out.
Bodoni,
and old school guy in the quintet thing.
I can't remember, but
yeah,
like
I think
Wagner.
I think
Wagner's just like mean and gritty.
Yep.
Wagner.
And his daughter Jasmine got a black belt.
Congratulations.
Pedro Mourinho versus Giancarlo Bodoni. Why Bodoni?
Because who he trains with. Because
really, you think he's continued to make improvements there?
Yes, absolutely, 100%.
I think Pedro at a
Gordon
time
is
in
going
this
to
match,
give him the exact way how to beat him
because he already beat him,
and he's going to beat him almost the exact same way.
Oh, that's wild. I didn't think. Actually, when I'm making this match, I didn't think about that.
And then Bodoni's going to beat Wagner.
No shit.
And he's going to beat him. He's got game plans for everybody in the entire bracket. I guarantee you.
Yeah, I think
for every single person in under 88, he's got a game plan against.
Okay,
I guarantee it.
All right. So you're picking Bodoni versus Wagner.
Yes.
Okay, that's wild. Other side of the bracket before we get too ahead of ourselves.
No, just stay on this side. We'll knock out one side and then knock out the other.
Okay.
Man.
Mateus Deniz versus Zaki.
Deniz.
I'm gonna go Deniz again. Again, this is
better as like
not
a
picking
nogi
the champion.
grappler. You know, he's just like a solid competitor
Yeah.
in nogi. There we go. Yeah. This is where I think Bodoni loses, though.
I think
even
Deniz
with the
takes
game
it.
plan,
Deniz versus Bodoni.
I think Deniz is just too much at this point for that. Yes, he has a game plan against everybody, but his worst matchup is Deniz.
I don't think he can do to Deniz what Gordon did to Deniz. Like,
absolutely
physically, he can't impose the game in the way that Gordon did, like on Deniz. And I think that's where he kind of runs into problems. I think that I have Deniz taking this side of the bracket anyway.
Yeah.
The only matchup is I'm honestly curious about the Pedro Mourinho match if we do see Pedro versus Deniz. Josh slams his microphone in disgust at my question.
I think Bodoni's going to go very far. Like, it's going to go surprisingly far. But he's just going to run into Deniz at a certain point. I think they will be on the same side of the bracket.
Yeah.
But that's where I think he stops.
So, other side of the bracket, we have the Atos contingent. We have Hinger, who is the silver medalist last year, or 3 years ago. We have Hulk, who didn't medal last year because he ran into Gordon. And then we have Ty on the same side of the bracket. I think they're going to bracket.
Barbosa.
I think they're going to bracket Hinger and Hulk together because you have a medalist and a non-medalist, and Ty placed at the 66 kilograms, so they're not going to bracket him with Hinger, who also medaled. So I think it's going to be Barbosa and Hinger, and I think Barbosa takes it.
But then I think,
because I always pick Barbosa because
it's
I just always pick Barbosa.
He's younger.
He's younger, and I think he's going to be able to impose. Hinger's looked really good and really sharp in the videos that we have seen from him, but I just think that
he's just been competing way more.
He's been competing more. We've seen more from him. I'm more familiar with his game competitively. I don't know. Hinger lost to a teammate at Jiu-Jitsu Con recently. I haven't seen Hulk lose to anyone but a world-class dude recently. Ty versus Owen. I'm going to go Ty on this one.
Yes.
Again, Owen, this is getting a short straw with Ty in your first round.
But that's the same thing with the next matchup. You pull Shanji your first round.
Yeah, so Sanjay versus Santiri Luisius, who I can never pronounce his name because he is
Don't worry.
Finnish.
Sanji,
I think, takes it as well. The only reason we didn't see Sanji in 2019 was he had to get hand surgery 3 months before. He's been in every other ADCC, or his brother, Salo, has been every ADCC since almost the beginning. Gonna go Sanji here. Next match, Mason Fowler versus Alexandre de Jesus.
Mason.
I'm gonna go Mason here. Mason looked amazing at trials.
Looked great at Brazilieros. He's looked really good.
He's just been killing everyone.
He beats Shanji afterwards.
I think that's
he's an enormous guy for 88 kilos.
Yeah, I think Mason beat Shanji. I think Mason may clean up his side of the bracket. Mason has looked crazy.
Think that.
Okay.
Because here's the other thing. So I think Ty beats Hulk.
Why?
Age, athleticism.
Okay.
Just the dude has.
He's been watching him and planning for him. It's one of those things.
Never-ending gas tank.
You're watching a guy that you have has coached you, that's been there in the room, that you have tried to beat up and coming. He now gets to put into practice everything he's ever thought about doing in a competitive setting versus a guy who's not going to change his game like Hulk. It's an interesting teammate matchup. There is a possibility we see Ty versus Hinger, and I think it's the same thing.
Yes.
I think we see Ty beat Hinger.
Ty's going through wherever it's going. Ty's going through.
So Ty versus Mason.
Ty wins.
Why does Ty win?
Again, age, even more athleticism. Mason can play from his butt all he wants, but I don't think that's a good place to be versus Ty.
Do you think that Rotolo can darce him, Mason?
Yes.
Really?
Have you seen that kid's arms?
Yeah, you do be crazy like that. I don't know. This is a toss-up one for me because
Mason, I think, is good, but I think he'll be too sucked down at 88, to be 100% honest with you.
Oh, really? You think the weight cut is going to be a problem to get him down there?
Keeping his weight under 88 kilos is going to affect him.
He's fighting a guy that was at 66 3 years ago and was a literal child, now is an 18 or 19-year-old black belt.
I think Ty takes it.
Okay.
You can put Mason on there. I ain't mad.
I'm not surprised. I just Mason at his trials run, his stuff versus Craig at Sug, all of his matches. He's a guy that I've always kind of for some reason picked against him, and it's happened so many times. I'm he's not earned my respect because he's had it, but he's earned my pick.
Great competitor. Don't get me wrong. I think again, it's just
he has impressed me in
it just
weird
sucks
ways.
Being older.
Yeah, he's impressed me in weird ways that have surprised me.
His run at even the Brasileiras in the gi, it was dude is fucking good.
Again, new black belt as well. So you go Ty. So Ty versus Deniz.
Ty.
Really?
Yes.
Why? You think younger? Josh, your answer can't be because he's younger.
No, I think like
You think the game has changed?
I think it's changed
for
just
young
enough,
guys.
and I think also one of the things that Ty will do that Gordon did to Mateus is he's going to create a lot of really good side-to-side pressure.
Yeah.
And I think eventually that's going to catch Mateus sleeping.
Yeah.
And
Especially
Ty's
in a long finals match.
Yep. Ty's going to get past. Ty's going to start to go for a mount. Mateus is going to try to shuck him off from the side, and Ty's going to take the back, and Ty will finish him if he gets on his back.
Damn. I hate how much you convinced me with that, like, that thought
Mateus
process.
is good, right? His wrestling's really solid. Like,
Yep.
he's good. He's got a nice guillotine. Like, he's
Yep.
got good positional stuff, good omoplata, stuff like that. The thing is, I don't think he can take Ty down, one. Right? So that only leaves playing from his butt. If he plays from...
I think he may be able to take Ty down, but
I don't think he can.
that Ty may be quick enough now, and like he's come into his own strength.
He's quick enough, he's strong enough, and he's long enough. If Mateus
Yeah,
even
he's long.
remotely does a bad shot, he's going to get darsed. Here's the other thing. Like, even if he gets into side control, you can't sleep on these motherfuckers because that stupid fucking buggy choke.
Oh yeah, like no, I think I didn't really think
It's
about
more
the
of like
length.
a Cade thing,
I think
but Ty does it too.
I think Mateus is going to be stronger here, but I think because of Ruotolo's length, the length of his arms, he's going to be able
It's
to
like
play.
a steel cable, man.
He's going to be able to play from a range that is a little outside of the range. Now, again, we've seen
He's really good, and if
we've seen Mateus versus Craig Jones, who has a very similar frame to Ty.
yes,
is my
and
only
no.
question.
So here's the thing, and if you guys listen to the Joe Rogan podcast with
I haven't
Gordon,
yet. Is it good?
Gordon and Mo.
Okay.
Like, he talks about what the Ruotolo brothers do, and why they're so good, and how they're like beating all of these people. And he's like saying they're good all around.
Is this
but they're-
Gordon talking or Mo
yes.
talking? Okay.
They're good all around, but they're really good at like certain things.
Yeah.
They're good at judging the distance, which is fucking true.
Yep.
Right? They get close enough to you, and this is the way he literally explained it. It's like they get close enough to you where you feel like you can grab them, but you can't. And that's when you start to overcompensate for that, is when they like stomp pass or
Yeah,
they go through and they
okay.
start moving. And they're just going to, both of them have never ending gas tanks. When have you seen either of the Ruotolo brothers get tired?
Apparently, like, so there was apparently someone was mat side for their brown belt world championship final between both of them, and they said, yeah, I watched Ty chug an entire blue Gatorade, and then immediately vomit it up in a trash can and get on the mat, and it was just like Jesus, like, and then he just ran that entire match directly after that,
Well, no, he was losing that match.
and then he subbed his brother,
Yeah, but he was
was just like,
losing
yeah.
the entire match, and then he caught him.
and he caught his brother. Yeah, and Kay, that was. Man, that's bold, Josh.
I'm just building up this bank account.
See, I hate,
bro.
but I love this. Is why I love having doing you.
But I
having you
feel-
for this, because you can justify, like, you have good
justify
reasons and
all of it.
rationale.
I can justify.
I am curious to see if we get Fowler versus Deniz, because I think that'll be like two guys that have a very, very similar style.
I still think Fowler takes that match. I don't think Deniz is going to repeat. I think he's going to go very far.
I think he medals.
Yes, I
think he
agree.
medals.
I agree that he medals. I don't
So
think he takes
ADCC is
gold.
funny. I think he medals. It's like that's entirely dependent on bracketing, because bracketing can
That's also
screw
true.
you. Yeah,
That's also true.
It's like you can have your number 2 seed, get beaten by your number 8 seed with a bad stylistic matchup. It's like, oh yeah, 8 seeds on the
Or
other side of the
you could
bracket.
have Kainan Duarte, Muhammad Ali, and
Nicky Rod,
and
Gaudio.
Gaudio lose to Lachlan Giles.
Dude, ADCC is some wild shit. It's all about the brackets, baby. So you're picking Ty to win. Fuck, that's convincing. I think we get Ty, we get Mason, we get Deniz, medal. That's who I think medals. That's where I think it goes. I think Hulk, it wouldn't surprise me, but I think him getting past Ty is going to be a really
I don't think he's
going
going to make it to the medal rounds.
God, Barbosa's getting fucking screwed again. All right, moving on to the under 99 kilogram bracket. We have the former 99 plus champion, Kainan Duarte. First round, I gave him the newest entrant, our second injury replacement or visa replacement, Owen Livesley. Owen's coming in as a non-trials winner, so he's going to be your 16th seed. He's going to get your number 1 seed.
Kainan.
I'm going to go Kainan. I actually think this matchup is tougher for Kainan than people
I think it is too, but still Kainan.
I'm going to go Kainan because, again, you put anyone versus Kynan in the first round. I think Owen's stand-up judo and like pressure and wrestling is good, but I think Kynan and Andre will have a game plan to deal with it, and they're going to be able to slow him down. They're going to be doing a similar thing to what we saw happen, what we saw trials winner. He's on the other side of the bracket. I'm looking for him right now. Lucas Griffin do to Owen in no, sorry, that's the wrong trials.
I don't know, man.
Whatever happened to Owen at trials in the finals?
I can't. Did he lose the? Was he in?
It was Luke Griffith. Yeah, it was Luke Griffith.
Oh, okay.
It was European trials. So I think Kynan implements a similar strategy and gets behind him. Devontae versus Henrique Sassone.
Devontae.
I'm going to go Devontae too. His trials run looked good. Never-ending gas tank wrestling. He's in that Unity team. He has his own team, and he's terrifying. I think that Henrique is good, but I think Devontae just overwhelms him with the gas and the cardio and the pressure on the head standing. And he slows Sassone down, and then he's able to like continue to leverage his gas tank late. Rafael Lovato Jr. versus Vinicius Tator Ferreira.
Gazzola, apparently.
Yes, it is Gazzola. I've been calling him Ferreira forever. Vinicius Ferreira.
Lovato.
Why? Really?
Yes.
Why?
Lovato.
Why Lovato?
He's the wily old guy. The age thing isn't going to come in.
I'm going to go with Trator on this one.
Okay, that's fine.
I think Trator is younger, and Lovato.
I just don't think
the Mergali match gives me pause. Like the Hulk match gives me pause. Like Lovato's had a couple of matches versus younger, like guys similar to Trator's.
That level.
I think Lovato.
He's close. But
I think Lovato has gotten a little slower in a way. We saw him forced to play off his back versus Margali. Versus Margali, we saw him first play off his back versus Hulk. Like I think Trator can look at what those two guys did and make a change. Again, Lovato being Lovato also wouldn't surprise me in any way, shape, or form. Patrick Gaudio versus Kyle Bain. This is the last one on the left-hand side of the bracket that I made. But Bain is dropping from plus 99 to under 99 here, taking on Gaudio.
I don't know. I'll go Bain.
Any particular reason? Or
Nope.
Yeah, this is...
I'm just like... That one's a real throw-up. That's like a good matchup. Legitimately, that's just a legit pickup.
It's how does Bain look at under 99? Because he looked good at trials at plus 99. Right. Yeah.
That's like a true pickup.
This is also like where is Bain's mind at? Because this is going to be his last jiu-jitsu thing on mushrooms. His last jiu-jitsu thing before he goes in MMA. So, of course, on one of our biggest episodes ever, we just had a major tech issue where Josh is basically audio cut out for the last 15 minutes. So we continue to talk about the rest of the under 99 kilogram bracket. We finished the plus 99 kilogram bracket.
Started in the under 60.
And we started in the under 60
for the women.
But here we are. So we're going to redo that with the caveat that this is a for funsies bracket. We are going to go a little bit faster at this point because guys, very late. And
so we said Kyle Bain beats Gaudio.
Yeah, and then basically where's his mind at for MMA? Yeah. That's where we left you at. And then we think that Duarte...
Trator, Kyle Bain does, and Duarte defeats Johnson. If it's Lovato versus Bain, I personally think that Lovato moves past Bain, and we still have Kynan versus Craig in the finals. Yeah. But... we talked about all that stuff too. I forgot that other side. I picked Mergali all the way through and had a bunch of good reasons why, and Maine agreed with me, and that convinced him to go with Mergali pretty much all the way to the finals.
So basically, I think that Bain is a rough matchup for
just
Gaudio.
About everybody.
He's a rough matchup for Lovato. If Lovato gets there, he's a rough match for Trator. I think that if Bain's in it, he beats Trator. I think Duarte beats Bain because I think that he can do the same thing that we saw Tim Spriggs do to Bain, that Gordon Ryan did to Bain in kind of the same way. Bain's one avenue is the really strong leg lock game he has, but I think that Duarte knows that and will stay away from that and play on top, and Bain will be unable to do that to Duarte. On the other side of the bracket, picked Craig Jones as the silver medalist last year versus Deniz, but now he's up at under 99. First round versus Pedro Taponen, the trials winner. It's a rough matchup for pair 2. Gonna go Craig. I think he's gonna start, and we think he's gonna kind of return to form.
Old Craig
for leg locks and kind of return to form there with what he used to do. We talked a ton about Ardilla, said some very nice things about Ardilla. Basically that his jiu-jitsu is the sliders all the way up, and you talked about like an 8 for everything.
Like 8.
Like he's not the best in the world.
He's not been turned up to 11 on many things. So,
but overall he's very hard
to deal with.
Like you can't specifically game plan for one area that he's going to be weaker because he's very, very strong in every area. So it's a really interesting matchup. I think he gets past Joao Costa in the first round, I have him bracketed up against. Margali versus Yuri Simões versus Luke Griffith.
Yuri.
I think Yuri goes. I think this is a closer match than people think it's going to be. I think Luke...
it's going to be down to the wire.
I think
that's what we said before.
It's going to be 2 points, and I think at the end, it's Yuri getting him down on his back and then implementing the old school body lock passing that he used to do and scoring points like that versus Luke. We talked about Elder Cruz versus Nicholas Margali in a kind of an interesting matchup. I think the places that Elder Cruz struggled with Bodoni, he will struggle with Margali. They're in the same camp. Yes. Bodoni's went against him. They're going to be able to plan effectively for how to deal with Elder Cruz.
Yes.
Margali gets past him. Margali versus Yuri Simões.
Margali just with age and
age and passing. I don't think we're going to see Yuri go heavy into the leg locks, which is how I think you have to deal with Margali in this rule set. So Margali gets past him with points. You, I think, earlier said that...
I think he takes his back and he chokes him.
Yeah. He passes.
But Maine vetoed my choice of Margali taking into the finals and Craig winning via leg lock.
So I think, I want to talk about this again because I think this is my best point I had on the show tonight. I think if you're going to fight Margali, he looked uncomfortable in the leg locks and all the who's number 1 items. He has not looked confident with the heel hooks. We haven't seen him do it. He doesn't look like he wants to do it. I think Craig Jones has specifically tailored that matchup to take Margali's legs out. I think he's going to do the same thing. You talked about earlier, we probably were not going to see Margali in mount because Craig is too strong to get underneath him. We're probably going to see him playing an outside pressure game or inside just smushing him down and controlling him and not letting Craig fire off his offense like, he was going to do. And we kind of substantially kind of stood apart there on that, and we usually pick matchups pretty similar. We both think this is going to go entirely different. You think Margali by smash. I think Craig by leg lock. I think if Craig and Margali meet each other, Craig wins by leg lock. But you talked about the new wave guys are probably, with so long having trained with Craig, have specifically planned for how to deal with Craig, and with Craig's recent matches not looking the best in the leg lock area, like Margali will implement a similar strategy to like what Sean Brady did almost, where it's like stay away from him, stay on top, prevent the sweep. I could see that, but I think that Craig is going to be too crafty in ADCC. He's going to be able to get underneath you. In the finals, we have Duarte versus either Craig or Margali, I think is what we're going to pick. I'm going to pick Craig. You're going to go Margali. I still think both of those guys, Kynan beats both of them.
I think Margali beats Kynan.
Really?
Yes.
No shit. By what?
Points.
I could see it. I think that we see Duarte beat Jones here. I think Duarte looks a lot like Mateus Diniz. He's going to play a similar game to Mateus Diniz. He's going to stop Craig Jones in a similar way that Mateus Diniz did. Mm-hmm. So that's why I think he moves on. But you think Margali is going to run all the way through and take the division. That would be wild for a guy who has had more no-gi matches in this tournament than he had prior to the tournament starting.
If he makes it all the way to the finals, he will have the same amount of no-gi matches in this one tournament that he's had in his career.
That's
at 3.
Wild. At 3.
So he'll have 6 total.
That's some wild shit. So let's move on to plus 99. We've already talked about plus 99, but we're going to do it again.
Just Gordon.
Gordon versus Josh Saunders, the trials winner. We think Gordon's going to take that. We have Dan Montessori, who's on the same side of the bracket as Gordon, versus Vinny Magalhaes. I think Vinny's going to go through. I think if Big Dan does go through, Gordon beats Big Dan by rear naked choke.
Yes.
Is how that goes. John Hansen, I think, is going to take on Hassam Reed on this side of the bracket.
Correct.
Again, huge fan of John, having trained with him in Nebraska. That dude is showing some stuff that guys aren't.
You guys missed out on the creepiest.
Guys aren't doing right now.
Creepiest thing Maine has ever said in his entire life.
Moving on. Just why you gotta now we're gonna
I'm just letting people know that there is some edited shit because we can't use it, where Maine said something really creepy about John Hanson. Anyway, because he'll never put it out because he never does that, he said that John Hanson is really big and he's like, Maine could fit in him like the Iron Man suit. Yeah. And it was, the way I just said it doesn't sound weird, but I looked at Maine and I was like, Maine, that was a little, that was a weird for you.
We'll move on. There's a picture of me next to John, and it was like, I'm very, very
He's
small.
a large gentleman, and you are not.
So there's a rematch that's probably going to happen on the side of the bracket. Nicky Rod, I think, gets through Damon Ramos. Damon Ramos did beat Pat Downey in wrestling at East Coast Trials, which I think guys are kind of forgetting about for how good Damon Ramos is. But I think Nicky Rod, late in the match, explodes and gets those 2 points, or how many points he's going to get in the sequence, and wins it either in points or in the eyes of the judges. I think he rematches John Hanson in the second round.
Takes that, though.
And I think Hanson takes it too, because I talked to Hanson and I interviewed him about this particular matchup, and he talked about, like things he would change, things he would do, like what they've learned from that. Like the cartwheel pass that Nicky Rod hit to John Hanson's back in trials.
Nobody expected that.
Not going to happen again. And Hanson knows to look for it now, and so he knows how to deal with that.
Have we seen Nicky Rod cartwheel recently anyway?
Not really. It's not something he does he does it in training a little bit, but not something in competition we've seen him do in a little bit. I think Hanson takes that rematch.
I do too, but I think Gordon Ryan
then we run into Gordon Ryan, and I'm not going to pick against Gordon Ryan until somebody shows me a pathway to beat Gordon Ryan in 2022.
You shock me in the beginning things, and he loses before that. Ooh.
Yeah. Again, it could happen.
The internet will catch fire.
ADCC, it could happen, but I would be pretty shocked. Other side of the bracket, we got the Gracie Bada quad. We have Felipe Pena. First round, I think he's going to take on Henki Jusila, who is the trials winner. I think he goes through him. We also have next Orlando Sanchez and João Gabriel Rocha. You weren't super happy about me for this matchup.
It's just not it's not an exciting matchup.
Yeah.
Like, that's all I'm going to say about it. It's not exciting.
You thought,
but I think João Gabriel will win. I just don't think it's going to be an exciting match.
And then he gets his back and chokes him?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Then we have Max Jimenez versus Roberto Cyborg Abreu.
I went Max.
I went Cyborg. I think that Cyborg has just been there. He knows what to do. He's so comfortable. He's a former champion. We have 5 champions in this weight class, or 5 former champions in this weight class. Vinny's a champion. Gordon's a champion. Felipe's a champion. Cyborg's a champion. Orlando's a former champion. In the wildest bracket ever, Flo did a really cool thing, and it was basically breaking down who, returning people in each weight class. 99 and plus 99 were the only divisions with less than 50% people that were new. 30% of these people haven't met the ADCC before. 70+% have. This is a division of veterans. Most of these guys have been here before. I just think Cyborg will leverage that versus Max, even though Max has been there before too. Actually fought John Hanson. Other final quad, we have Roosevelt Souza and Victor Hugo. I think Victor Hugo, just with the attributes he has and his length and his guard game, gets through. So we get Cyborg or Max versus Victor Hugo there.
But Victor just takes it.
I think Victor beats either way. Victor,
young guy, very long, very big.
Victor has a submission win and he's over Cyborg or Worlds.
And he's willing to play on his butt.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter.
Then we have Victor Hugo versus Felipe Pena. I think Pena takes that.
Yes.
And then
I think Gordon Ryan beats Pena.
Yeah. For the bracket. But it is an ADCC rematch, which would be fun because Pena took his back last time and 6-pointed him.
True.
So that was interesting. I think for the third place match, John Hanson versus Victor Hugo is potentially really, really fun because I
think Hanson can take that one since they're both comfortable on the bottom either way, but they're both fucking enormous.
They're both giant guys that want to play the bottom and are very, very good and have very, very good guards. That's a nifty style matchup because it's do they both play the bottom? Does one guy come up? How do they deal with it? I think stylistically, that's a really exciting matchup. Now back to where we were before the audio cut out on the show. And
still working.
And it's still working. It's still working right now. Apologies for all that. Sorry, guys. We have an interesting quad or interesting bracket of women. We have Bia Mesquita, the 2019 champion. We have...
No. She took fourth place. We discussed this before. Remember, she got her arm broken by Fionn, and then Fionn got her leg broken by Bia Basilio, and Bia Basilio won the that one. See?
Bianca Basilio.
You keep saying Mosquito, though.
Oh, okay, my bad. I have Mosquito.
That's the second time.
I have Mosquito in the wrong place in my bracket. That's why.
That was the other thing. Is like she's not supposed. She shouldn't be 1 seed.
Yeah, I flipped Bianca Basilio about being Mosquito. So Bianca Basilio is my 1 seed. I should have her versus Adele Florentino in the first round. We have an interesting quad here where I can't right now.
Oh, okay,
that's
fine. So let's just say like.
So
both Bias move on.
Yeah. So and they've fought each other, I think 5 times at this point, with Mosquito taking most of them. We had an interesting case. You round up with Fionn beating Bianca Mosquito.
Beatriz Mosquito.
Beatriz Mosquito broke her arm, and then she got toe-holded by Basilio.
Bianca Basilio fucked up Fionn Davies' leg.
Yes.
There you go.
So, but Bia Basilio is the 2019 champion. Mosquito is the 2017 champion.
And I think 15 and 13.
Is she? Okay.
I think so.
Very, very established. So I think that both Bias move on. It's been a long day.
Fionn
Davies takes on Julia Malie, which I think they faced each other before. Fionn won. Fionn takes that again. Elvira Karpenen versus Maisa Bastos.
I think Karpenen's too big.
I do too, and that's I think Bastos is an amazing guard game and like is an amazing player, is one of the best in the world. But I don't think that she is big enough to contend effectively at 60 kilograms. And I think that Karpenen has a ton of experience in Adcc, is going to be there again, and is going to take her out. I think Fionn takes out Karpenen.
Yes.
I think they faced each other before at an event in Europe.
She beats her. She's looked great. She's now a world champion, in the gi.
Mm-hmm. She's at JT at Essential. Looks amazing. I think Mosquito beats Basilio because she has before in the rule set.
Historically, yes.
Historically, she has beat her before. So I'm going to
click on the bottom.
I did, and it went away. See?
Now click on the button.
Yeah. So I think we get a rematch between Mosquito and Davies.
I think Davies takes it.
I think Mosquito takes it.
I think Davies just gets on.
Does it again? She figures it out again?
Yeah. You could put Mosquito in your first place, and that's fine. But I don't agree with you.
I mean, I think either. I'm clicking on it and the names are going away. I think either is great. This is a very fun division, I think, because there's some great rematches. Like, can Fionn do it twice? Or can Mosquito win the rematch? They
would expand it. I wish there were more women.
They wanted to. They wanted to make it 3 divisions, but with COVID and everything, they couldn't. On to the final bracket of the evening.
Oof.
Who is going to beat Gabby Garcia? Women's plus 60 kilogram division. I have Gabby Garcia taking on... I always struggle with her name.
Elefira?
I think so.
Zoom in because I can't see the last part of it. Elefira Christodoulou.
Yeah. I think Gabby Garcia takes that match. Because it's Gabby Garcia. Amy Campo versus Genova Jara.
Campo looked
amazing at West Coast Trials.
Giovanna... also looks great too, but I just think AB Campo is going to take it.
I think that West Coast Trials was something else and looked very, very good. Other side of the bracket, Kendall Reusing versus Nikki Lloyd Griffith. I think Kendall takes it. I think Kendall's my number 2 seed in this bracket. And I think that her wrestling and her judo and her stand-up and her passing and the way that she can impose on top position is tailor-made for ADCC. She won the trials before. I think has a great game plan for the rule set. Rafaela Geddes versus Elizabeth Quay. I think Geddes takes it again.
That's a rematch.
Yeah. I didn't want to make rematches in this one. But
it's hard not to because they're so small.
Yeah.
But I think Geddes takes that one. And then I think Geddes goes past Kendall.
I do too. I think her
grittiness and her style of wrestling will just put Kendall in a bad spot.
We've talked about this a lot off air, and I think half the team thinks Kendall's going to run through all the way. Half the team thinks Geddes is going to beat her if they match up on the same side. I'm more of the mind that Geddes goes through, but I absolutely see Kendall being able to impose her wrestling down. They faced each other before, so I think Gabby Garcia versus Amy Campo is really interesting. I really want to see Campo versus Kendall, and I want to see Gabby versus
Rafaela.
I want to see Gabby versus Rafaela. I want to see Gabby versus Kendall. I want to see Gabby versus Campo. And I just couldn't bracket it in a way that made me see all of those matchups. So
Gabby takes it.
Gabby.
I think
she imposes on Campo.
And I think she imposes on Garcia or on Geddes, and I think she takes it again. And I think that match right there will be her last one ever.
I do too.
Unless they let her do the absolute, the male absolute.
That would be some wild-ass shit. I would love to see that. I don't think she would do well, but I would love to see it just because...
I think she'd still do well.
That's crazy.
I don't think she'd make it to semis.
It'd be interesting. I mean, I think
she'd win 1 or 2 matches.
That'd be wild. So, again, Gabby... I
think Gabby takes it.
Until you show me consistently how to beat Gabby... And people like Levy had a really good showing, like beat her, almost submitted her. Let's see... Jessica DeJesus.
Natalie
DeJesus.
People have beaten Gabby before, but a lot of times it's in the gi.
Yeah. And very few people have ever beat her in no-gi. I think at ADCC, she's coming for her last and probably final run.
Probably.
It will be very interesting. So that is the mock bracket for 2022 for ADCC. You think you have a better bracket? DM me the bracket. The bracket is up on... bracketfight.com, search ADCC. I made all the creative templates for the brackets. Find them, look at them, make your own. You got to log in to do it, but you can log in and change everything around how you see fit.
Do how you want to do it.
And let me know. So, as always, follow Grappling Rewind on Instagram and all the platforms and Facebook. Share it with your friends. Would really appreciate it. We're going to do some really, really cool stuff.
There's
and that
be
viewership.
A lot of pictures and stuff.
Yeah. Helps us do that. And I really appreciate it. I'm looking forward to it. Josh, thank you very much for
should
redoing.
We talk about the Open?
The Open.
With you?
Oh, yeah. I'm refereeing the Open. I'm judging the Open. Not
judging
refereeing.
The Open. Hey.
I'm judging the
Open.
Open.
I'm telling you, I told Maine he's going to sneak in. He's going to end up being one of the judges for ADCC.
I fucking hope not. I'm not ready for that level. I'm not ready for that level of sports responsibility. I also think, like, I know I could do it in an unbiased manner, and that would be fine because, like, I hold my integrity to, like, a weirdly high standard of just, like, no, I'm unbreaking in that. But, man, it'd be really rough to, like,
I mean, they're not going to let you do finals, but
no.
they'll let you do like opener matches.
Maybe. I would love that would be a neat experience. I would want to probably get 5 or more years experience doing the opens and stuff like that in the trials before I'd be comfortable doing that. Man. Yeah. But I'm excited. I'm
start flying you places.
Very happy to have done the rules seminar for both of them. I'm going to do the rules seminar again. This will be the 3rd one I've done. I'm watching I'm doing a ton of prep now.
Just so you guys know, it's Sunday at 11 o'clock. I wanted this to be done at 10.
Yep.
We had technical difficulties.
Yep.
Maine has been freaking out since I saw him before we were training at like 7:30 when I got to the gym. He's still technically freaking out now.
Oh, yeah.
Still hasn't packed.
Nope.
He leaves at 8 tomorrow.
PM.
Yes.
We gotta leave at like 6 though, because I gotta drive to the airport and get there 2 hours.
His brother gets here in an hour.
Yep. And
it's going to be real fun. He's just going to be stressing. He's not going to sleep. He'll sleep for 2 hours.
Probably. Yeah.
It's going to be awesome.
It's not going to be awesome. I'm excited. I'm excited for DCC. I'm just going to watch so much like matches and score them. And like that's my next 3 days. It's just me watching and reading. What
are you going to do for the next couple of days in Vegas, though, before like all that stuff really gets going?
Oh, I'm just going to stress out, Josh. I'm just going to stress out and freak out.
That's what I was going to suggest.
That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stress out. I'm going to watch a ton of matches.
You have to pack all of this stuff up, don't you?
I do have to pack all this stuff. The stuff that we're using currently, I have to put in a bag and then figure out how to get on an airplane to Vegas.
That's your carry-on, brother.
Bro, I'm bringing the board. Like I'm bringing the board, a computer, that computer that is using it on the podcast for editing. I'm bringing like at least 2 cameras, recorders.
My man's gonna have to check some luggage.
I'm gonna check some luggage. I'm debating bringing the giant orange case.
Oh man, you're gonna have to put like a padlock or a zip tie on that shit.
Yeah, it'll be.
I don't have to do any of that.
I'm very excited about it. I'm gonna watch a lot of ADCC so that I can competently referee the Open. If you are at the Open, don't say hi to me. I'm going to be freaking out. If you
see the guy with the piss stain, that is Maine because he's just freaking out so much.
We finally have Grappling Rewind merch after 5 years. This is the old shirt, but we have new shirts that Josh didn't wear.
I didn't.
Support the show, Josh. You only founded it with me 5 years ago. pretty much exactly close to 5 years now.
Yeah.
On. So it's great. I love it, Josh. As always on the show, I'm your host, Maine. I'm the co-host,
Josh.
And we are the Grappling around. You see on the map. Whatever it is, stay safe. If you like the show, please consider sharing it on Facebook with the folks at your gym. It's the best way that we grow the show, and we really appreciate it. You can reach out to us on email.
We also have Instagram. We have Facebook. We have Twitter. We have Google+.
Until that shuts down.
We have a website.
If you have an event you would like to have us cover, please let us know. If you have a name, like most people do, and you'd like to have us stop butchering it,
let us know.
Reach out to us. The show is also available on YouTube, Spotify, in addition to iTunes and every other podcast service. We very much appreciate your time, and thank you.